right, so today is Beware the Ides of March. So with that, actually, with it being springtime and a lot of flowers are blooming and trees are blooming, this was also a good time for us to do a continuation from last week, which was on the full body. Last week, we did it more from a flow standpoint and the fact that we are all one full body of Christ. I figured this would be a good way for us to focus on the stretching piece of it and do a little bit of self-care as well. So let's just start off in a nice, comfortable seated position. Feel free to grab blocks or blankets. I'm actually sitting on a blanket today. And if you like, just place your hands right on top of your thighs and just kind of rub it forward back. So it's almost like giving yourself a little bit of massage on your thighs. You might feel a little bit of heat there. And so your elbows are getting a little bit of flow, and even your shoulders. Just feel how you feel there. And then have it so that it can relax gently. Your shoulder blades, your angel wings kind of can go back toward each other, tuck toward each other. And then just have your crown of your head, the crown up toward heaven. If you like, you can close your eyes and then just stay here and take several breath cycles. Inhale through your nose fully and just exhale completely. Just continue to do that. Just be aware of how your body feels. And perhaps it's more than your body. It might be even your emotional state right now. Sometimes with the daylight savings, kind of messes us up in our schedule. Maybe puts us a little bit out of whack. Just give a little bit of forgiveness there. Breathing. And as you're breathing here, I'd like to share this one verse. For just as we have many members in one body, and all the members do not have the same function, so we, who are many, are one body in Christ, and individually members of one another. So we have this important function. Each of us is important. There's value in each and every one of us, but together we fully function as one body. Let that resonate with you as you continue breathing. And then perhaps even take notice within your own physical body, what area might feel tight, what area might be speaking to you. Maybe you might have a little bit of pain or discomfort. And we know in many ways that we carry each other's burden. And in this way, we will fulfill the law of Christ. Let us not be weary in doing good, for at the proper time, we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. All right, let's inhale our arms up towards heaven. Exhale it all the way down. Inhale one more time. Really reach up. Really try to stretch yourself really up. Feel a stretch. Maybe even let your shoulders come upward. If you want, you can interlace your fingers. You don't have to. You can even have it wide. So it's whatever you have. Really feel yourself reaching up. Your sits bone or your legs or whatever is connected to the ground. Reaching, 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 reaching. Exhale, bring both arms over toward your right side. Keeping your left sits bone on the ground. Reach, reach, reach. If you want, you can even use your right hand, thumb and index finger, kind of grabbing your left wrist and pulling a little bit further away toward your right side. Feel a little bit more stretch. Just go to your own range of motion. Inhale back to center. Exhale, go toward your left. Keep your right sits bone onto the ground. Oh, mine's trying to lift up. Try to keep it down. So you're getting that nice little lateral stretch there. Breathe. Inhale and exhale. If you want, you have the option to use your left thumb and left index finger, kind of go around your right wrist and kind of pull a little bit further. Again, listen to your own body. Some of you may not want to do this. Keep breathing. Exhale, inhale back to center. Exhale, both hands down to the side. Let's stretch your shoulders, so kind of roll it forward. Bring your back of your palms toward each other. Kind of bow down toward the center. Inhale, open up. Open up with your arms behind. If you can, you're welcome to grab behind. Remember, we're not warmed up, so if you want, you can even grab a strap. You can even grab a towel, or you can even cross your hand in sense of bending your elbows. We're kind of going into our cow pose. Feel the stretch along the chest where your heart resides. I love to consider this as the tent or dwelling place. Let's release and go in front. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale last time. And release. Excellent. Let's just shake it out. And it's amazing because with the stretching, you can feel like, okay, we haven't really warmed up. So just stretching those ligaments, stretching the muscles. All right, let's go into our tabletop cat-cow. Again, we're going to be doing more on stretching, but it's always good to get a little bit of flexion and motion into our spine, especially. So knees are directly underneath your hips, hip width apart, wrist directly underneath your shoulder width apart. And if you want here, just a little bit of flexion and extension, even though we just did that. So this should feel really easy now in comparison. It's all relative. And then extend, once you're back into tabletop, extend your right foot straight back with the big toe, your right big toe onto the floor. I'd like for you to have the big toe of the right foot grounded into the mat, and then start pressing your heel back. So we're stretching your calf. You're probably feeling the right calf stretching. If you want, you can kind of press your hands into the mat and push it to the front of your mat. Keep breathing. Again, go to your own range of motion. You don't want to snap anything. Just getting a little bit nice stretch. Doing the same thing, let's bring your right knee down, extend your left foot out. We're just working stretching. We're not going to do as much strengthening today. So big left toe onto the floor, pressing into the mat. Now you press back with your left heel. Keep breathing. Same thing with your hands, pressing it toward the front of your mat. Excellent. Let's bring that back to tabletop. We're going to bring your right knee up toward your chest. Bring your right foot underneath the right knee. So it's going to go where your right hand was at. So we're almost in that 90-degree angle type thing. If you have 2 blocks, you're more than welcome to put 2 blocks there. But if not, we're almost like into a low lunge type thing. Now we're just going to stretch, again, the calf muscle. So as we extend the right knee, straighten it, you can feel a little bit of stretch along that right calf again. So option, if your foot stays on the ground, you're noticing that stretch. Or if you want, you can actually release it, have your toes pointed up, and you feel a little bit of different stretch. Some people can actually go all the way down here, which I feel like I'm cheating them because I'm not really stretching the legs. Now I'm just kind of straight. So this may be where having some other props to allow you to stretch your leg. And because I have long legs, I actually need to move my foot forward. Now I'm getting a little bit more stretch. Now I'm actually getting my hamstring. So depending on where you want to work at, with the toes upward, you're now going to get that hamstring stretch. Let's say this bothers you, being in this kind of position. You can always do this a supta, like recline, so you can be on your back, having your legs up, and we'll do that a little bit later on with the strap. When we're ready, let's slowly bend our right knee, and then we're going to switch out. So right foot underneath us, right knee underneath us. We're going to bring our left foot forward to into that low lunges kind of position. Same thing here. Now, as we slowly start walking our hands back, straighten that knee. You may feel it along your calf muscle. You have the option of going all the way down, kind of getting a little bit of stretch there. Or if you're trying to get more of a hamstring stretch, what I'm going to do, and again, this might be based on your own physical body's dimension, because I have really long limbs, I need to actually walk my foot forward and now straighten it. So now I'm getting more of a hamstring stretch. So the area right underneath the thigh, down the bottom side. Keep breathing. And even when you're kind of folding forward, if you want to fold forward, you're getting a stretch in your lower back as well. But just be kind, because as more you go forward, you're going to probably feel it in your hamstring as well. All right, let's go bend that. Come in front. All right, now to get a true stretch, and now even the quad. This is, be very cautious. So we're going to go down into Vajrasana, which is hero's pose. You can either have blocks, blankets, bolster. Hero's pose is when you're actually now not only sitting back, which is really, really tight on the knees, so be very cautious if you have knee issues. You can always choose to do one at a time. So I'm going to just demonstrate first. So you could always like put a bolster under between or a block, okay? Ultimately, sometimes, again, everyone's going to be different. So remember, uniquely created. Ultimately, sometimes people would actually be between it. And what's happening is you're really requiring a stretch along those quads and then the knees, okay? Now, if you don't normally do this that often, I would definitely recommend doing some props. So if you have a bolster, and I know some of you have bolsters, you can actually have that between your legs. And then just kind of sitting here is getting that little bit of stretch along here. So that's perfect. That's all we're trying to do, stretching the different areas of our body. For those other ones that might not have a bolster, you can use a couch cushion, or just build up a bunch of towels there. You can do that, or you can use blocks. And you can slowly lower it. So again, allow the body, these are sometimes those fascias too, allow it to slowly open up. So you don't want to do anything too quickly. And again, the purpose isn't to be all the way down on the ground. It's just allowing some of the areas to stretch. So if you are between, usually what happens is try need to like roll out, pull out the flesh of your calf, and then use your other hand to pull in your thighs so that they're not like squished on top of each other. It's always the thing. The other thing is you're noticing if you're in this kind of position, sometimes what's really uncomfortable is the ankle. So you're getting a major stretch of the ankle, especially for you runners. So be kind. This is where it might be too intense to do both at the same time. So you can always have one leg straight out in front, or you can even keep the other one where the knee is up toward heaven and your foot is, soles your foot's on the mat. So you can do that. And then let's see if you can just connect to your breath. So in any situation, think of the circumstances that we might be going through life. It's really great to connect to your breath. It's really great to connect to God and receive that peace. And maybe perhaps when you're in that quiet time, you might hear the body saying, like, you know what, this is a little too intense, and then back out. You can add a couple props. You might just allow it to be one side. This is why it's so important to be still. You might even be able to determine that one side's a little different than the other side. And isn't that true? The different body parts are going to be different from each other. We each have a different talent, which is why it's so important that we are this unified, have this unity, the body of Christ. And take awareness of when you're breathing, whether or not, and with your inhale, if your belly is rising, getting that full breath through your lungs, pressing down the diaphragm. And then with your exhale, it's just coming back to normal. Or perhaps you're noticing, like, wow, I didn't realize there's something might be going on this week. It might be all those fragrance of those blossoms that are coming out there. You know, that might be causing me a little bit of sinus headaches, or possibly some type of other distractions and so forth. Just be aware. You're not going to ignore it. You're not going to repress or stuff it down. Be aware of it and let your body acknowledge the fact that you recognize it exists. We're going to try to take care of those matters. All right, let's slowly, now this is where it's going to be very careful when you come back out, depending on which position you're at. So slowly lean forward, and if you're really tight, you know, press your hands down, kind of lift yourself up. You didn't stay down like a yin pose, so, but as you feel the blood circulation going back into your knees, perhaps just be very gentle. Kind of move back into that tabletop. We're going to stretch that right foot back out again. Oh, whoa. So just stretch it out. We're not going to put a lot of strength into it right now. Just straighten it so that you can feel the blood circulation going in there. And if you want, you can try to draw circles with your toes. With your right toe, I should say. And go in the opposite direction. And then maybe bring your right knee back down and extend your left leg. So if you're on the opposite foot, that's completely fine. Just allow the blood circulation to come through the rest of your left leg. And then when you're ready, you can just lift that up slightly and then just draw circles. So you had that beautiful stretch in the ankles as well. So allowing it to get some of that circulation, that blood. Think about the blood. Think of the blood that Christ gave for us. So bring life into us, the eternal life. Excellent. Let's come back So let's take a seat. If you want, you can actually sit on a chair. We're going to do a couple different things today. There's this one thing called EFT tapping. This is something that we do periodically in like a therapeutic yoga class. And I thought it might be a good way to do it because you're actually addressing some of the 9 meridian points. So since we're going to be sitting for a while, feel comfortable to get into, again, your props that might make it easier to sit. Or you can even go onto a chair, some sort. Just make sure you're nice and comfortable. So let me explain the tapping. So there's these 9 different meridian points. Well, actually, there's more than 9 meridian points. We've talked to some of these in the past. But in this case, what's going to happen is we're going to do the spot that's right on the outside of your hand, so on the pinky side. So this whole area. Now you can do one side. I tend to try to do both at the same time. That's just me, I'm multitasking. But where we're gonna do kind of like the karate chop. So that will be some area, okay? So that's one area. Then afterwards, you're actually getting your eyebrows. So when you do these things, you might wanna use two fingers for both sides. So this is gonna be right where the inside of your eyebrows are. So you know where it's kind of like, we have our third eye, but this is now kind of like down to the side to it. That would be the second area. And then you would go on to the outside of your eyes to make sure it's all the way on the outside toward almost near the temple, but it's where you can feel the bone area. You're going to tap there, and then you're going to go underneath, under the eye, so not the actual eye socket area, but where the bone part is. And then you go to under your nose, like above where, I guess if you had a mustache or whatever, you can actually tap it there. And this is where you can just use one hand, but maybe two fingers together, tap there. And then underneath your chin. So underneath your, I should say, underneath your lower lips, but above your chin. So you know where that groove is there? Like whenever you drink something, it dribbles down, that's where it collects, but that's where we're gonna tap the other one. Okay, so, and then once you do that, and I'll go through this again in order, you're gonna do that collarbone area. So you have your collarbone, you can feel where it reaches the clavicle area. So go down a few inches and out a few inches. Can you see that? Yeah. So it's almost like if you had those suspenders, kind of like you put your thumbs in there and kind of reach out. So you're gonna hit those. What I would recommend by then is, because this is a larger surface area, you might even want to do three fingertips of each, or even 4, although my pinkies are pretty puny. So that would be another area there under the collarbone. And then they have where, kind of like your lymph nodes area, under your armpits, but down some. So where, again, where the surface is. So people can tap individually, but again, I do both at the same time. So I'm a little weird in that sense. And then lastly, so then our 9th one is at the top. So kind of like with the crown of your head, at the very tip of it, and this is where I definitely want to use more of your both fingers, all of your fingers, both hands, you tap there. So what's going to happen is we're going to go in through these orders and just do tap it. They don't have a specific how many you do, but from a yoga standpoint, for this to be a little bit more meditative, I would say you might want to just kind of count to like up to a 6. Not like you don't have to tap necessarily 6. You might discover that you're tapping a little bit faster than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's whatever is going to help you in this case. So we're going to walk it through. So right now we're going to do the karate chop one, so the outside of the hands. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we're going to go on to our eyebrows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, we'll do 10. And then on the side of your eyes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And underneath your eyes, so not in the socket area, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Under the nose area, above the lips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And underneath the lower lips, 1, 2. In the collarbone area. And then the armpits area. So if you want to do one at a time. and then top of your head. All right. I'm not going to count it out for you. In fact, I just noticed myself like, you know what? Doing only 10 seemed kind of short. So if you want to go dozen or 20 or whatever, do that. So if you want, you can even close your eyes, find what feels good, like a pattern. And I would say just keep each of them the same amount. So you can go on to your own, and I'm going to give you, let's see how much time we can do this. We'll do this for 5 full minutes. So you can go through all of it. So everyone has it. So we're going to start off with you do your karate chops on the outside. And then it just kind of like goes down the whole area. So hands, then goes to between the eyebrow area, side of the eyes, under the nose, under the lower lips, now the collarbones, the sides of your armpit, below the armpits, and the top of your head. Does that make sense, everyone? All right. All right. So we'll begin now. And when you finish your full cycle, please make sure you finish the full cycle, your nine meridian points. Once you end up at the top of your head, then you can just sit in comfortable, easy pose, Sukhasana. These are the various different acupressure points along the meridian lines. This helps out with some of the energy, some of the pain, pressure, and emotional areas. So it's pretty incredible because, you know, we talk about let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. But it didn't say not to look in our own interest. So it's really important for us to not just care for other people, but we have to do self-care, because if we are always serving other people and then we don't take care of ourselves, then we're not going to be able to fully function and help those others. So it's going to be really important for us to do self-care. So with that, let's get into some of our other self-care. So before we get into our feet, because once we touch our feet, chances are we're not going to want to touch anything else on our body. So one of the ones that we're going to work on is our ear. So we talked about this pressure point of the ear, and I'm not going to stick my ear right to it. So if you grab the top part of your ear, then the ridge right that you stick your finger right below the out. So you're inside your ear, but you're not in the eardrum area. So you're just on your outside your ear, you're going to the first ridge. So if you press that one, you know where, if you were ever a kid, or maybe this is just my mom, like if she ever grabbed you because you were not paying attention, you know how they grab you in that one part of the ear and kind of yank you? Well, there's a reason why they did that. That's actually a good acupressure point. So you can just kind of press there. So your thumb might be on the inside of, on the back side of it, and then your index finger is on the inside of it, but then you can almost like grab each other. So it's most of the whole ear is a cartilage, but it's the flatter area of it. So if you were to kind of massage it a little bit, just kind of pull it, that's going to help. So if you want, you can just kind of stimulate it. And then later on, just feel where that's at. And then if you go a little bit further toward the center of where your ear is, so let's pretend the center is where the hole would be to get to your inner ear. Just kind of go down there. So you cross that first ridge point, and so you're in that spot. There's like ridge in between the two. You put your finger there, you know, so it feels snug in your fingers. Feel that one. I'd like for you to just slowly draw. So once your finger's in there, slowly draw small little circles. Just allow it to circles, kind of like stimulate that. And see if you can relax while you're stimulating that. Just draw little circles. If you're hearing a lot of crunching sounds and stuff like that, you might just have a lot of earwax, and that's okay. Go in the opposite direction. If you want to do both ears at the same time, we can do that. Actually, maybe if you do both of them, then you might not be able to hear me, but saves a little bit of time, we can get a little bit more of the other part. Sure. So if you notice, because you might have been doing one ear longer than the other one, that one feels just softer, or it just feels warmer. You might be feeling it. In fact, hopefully you're feeling a little difference in your body. You might feel a little bit more calmer on one side. These are very connected to your vagus nerve. That helps with the parasympathetic nervous system as well. Now, the only thing is sometimes having your arms up kind of gets exhausting. So if it feels tired, you can always, you know, relax and let it out. So feel free to honor your body. And then when you're ready with that, go the next ridge closer to the inner ear. So there's that flat spot again. It's kind of like you found this like little landing spot before you go down into the belly. So you don't want to go into the belly, because we learned never to put anything smaller than your elbow into your ear, right? So you're going to be in that flat spot, and then do the same thing, draw little circles. Go even the opposite direction. So even though you're doing little circles, it's almost like you're not really, it's like your fingers press into it and you're just kind of like moving it around a little bit. Give yourself self-massage in this area. And then just release. And I don't know. I probably should have had you test to see how you felt beforehand and now how do you feel. Like, honestly, sometimes if you're trying to go to sleep and maybe you have so much things kind of going through your mind, you might just do that nice little relaxation. It's just, again, to kind of help activate that, the vagus nerve, kind of calm it down. I don't know about you, but I just feel like it's strange. I feel like my chest area feels a little bit more open. And again, I have been beating on my collarbone area, but that seems to be a little bit more relaxed in that area. All right. So the other area that we talked about for our hands, so we did our ears, we got to do that whole body part. We even did our hands. But one of the things we covered beforehand is on the inside area. On the outside where you have this little V. We talked about some of the gaits that we have. So you can either stimulate it with your thumb, draw little circles there, or if you want, you can even do the karate chop. So you can always use the outside pinky side of the opposite hand, kind of just chop it on top of there. And that also helps to help with pain relief. This is supposed to be a pain relief point. You can either massage it here, which is how I showed it when I first learned about this one. And it's not just a pain relief for this area, but let's just say you have tooth pain or even some type of headache. By doing this, that might actually release it. And then you can even go in the opposite side. My right hand is a lot more meatier than the other side, which I guess makes sense since I'm right-handed. But you know what? My sinus is now completely clear. I'm like, wow. I think it's the other one. All right. Same thing as far as these ouch pain relief point. Besides the outside of where your thumb and your index fingers, where they would meet up, meet right between that intersection. The same is true if you remember for your feet. So where your big toe and your second toe, if you were to follow the phalanges for that, right at the spot between it, if you were to press on there, draw little circles, that acupressure point is another one of these pain relief points. So we call it the ouch pain relief points. Actually, that's not their official title, but that's what I'm calling it. It's actually called, oh, I forgot to bring my glasses. The Tai Chong Great Rushing, but I'm sure there's actually Chinese names to it. So there's no way I'm going to be able to read that without my glasses. So that's another area. And so let's say we were doing happy baby, on our back. You can always, sometimes you grab onto your feet. You might want to actually grab onto that pressure point, especially if maybe your feet were hurting from running for a long time, or maybe if you're wearing tight shoes. And if you want, you can switch to the other foot. All right, so let's get on to the other areas. So I didn't realize it's already 6:40. So we're gonna get either your tennis ball, or, and this is what I mentioned in the email, there is these dryer balls. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's these dryer balls that you can buy. The things about these dryer balls is they have these little porcupine thing. So we don't even use a dryer anymore, but I bought this because this gives that whole acupressure thing. So you can use a tennis ball or any other ball. You can use a racquetball, a baseball. So it's up to you what kind of density that you want, the hardness factor. If you don't even have a ball, you can use a water bottle of some sort, just something firm, or even some type of plastic jar or jug, I should say. So you can always use that. So this is just going to help massage the bottom of your feet. So this is what I meant by if you wanted to sit actually on a chair or a bolster to kind of lift you up and then be able to place it on there, or you can even stand up and just put it on there. So when you stand up, that means you may be putting a little bit more pressure on. So again, be kind to your own body, how much you want to do it there, and then really work it through, roll it up and down, starting from one side to the other side. So if you're standing, you might want to even, because you're lifting one foot up, you might want to hold on to some type of prop like the wall or your couch or your chair. So I'm using the dryer thing. Ooh, oh, I apparently got ticklish feet too. And the one thing to be aware of is the fact that a lot of times we tend to use that big surface area, but you really want to get even to where the toes are at. And then if you want, remember to go kind of like windshield wiper, go from one side to the other side. Get even in between the toes, almost, not in between, but so that the toes, each individual toes would go around surface. Because what happens is if you're wearing shoes a lot, and during this whole COVID area, my only shoes are usually flip-flops if I'm wearing those at all. But if you're normally wearing shoes, just think about it. It ends up being all your toes end up becoming one unit. So they're kind of squished together. So for them to be free, allowing them to have that chance to open up, stretch. Make sure you do the other foot. Yeah, my other foot was getting very jealous. Yeah, I remember I think I had injured, I broke my ring toe for this side. And wow, it's almost like it has no actual movement with it. So it's just really good to give it some love and care. And don't forget to run it up and down. And then when we're ready, make sure you have your strap, because we're going to just stretch our legs, our outer thighs, inner thighs, and inner IT band. So sometimes in our other classes, we've been just stretching the inner and the IT, but we're going to even deliberately stretch the outer. So I just want to make sure you give the other foot the proper amount of time that you need. And then when you're ready, you can have some type of strap or a tie or something and get onto our back. So as we get onto our back, your knees are going to be bent, soles of your feet onto the floor. This time we're just going to place our right foot around, the strap around our right foot, but have it in the arch of your right foot. And then as you have your hands on either side of the strap, just see where the right leg could be straight, the right knee straight. You don't want to hyperextend it, but just have it straight. If it bothers you, maybe your hamstring might still be tight, which hopefully it's it's been stretched. But if it is, just give a little micro bend to it. So it's always important to keep your joints protected. So it could also be lower. So you can decide what area. Keep breathing here where it's straight, and then keep breathing. Just allow a couple breaths there, and perhaps it feels a little bit more open, and you might decide to pull it up a little bit closer toward your body. Again, the purpose isn't for our knees to be touching our nose. Even though you're stretching your right leg, see if you can also relax the shoulders. So if you feel like it's getting tight, see if you can get the shoulders away from your ears, those angel wings tucked back underneath your body to the ground. If you want even more of a stretch, you're welcome to extend your left leg, make it straight, and then you'll see what happens to your right leg. If you extend your left leg, you might notice your right leg needs to go further back down, which is fine. Okay, let's work on the inner thigh. So this time, bring both straps over to your right hand. Keep the left hand on top of your left hip. You might want to open up the right leg toward the right side. Try to keep the left hip on the ground still. You're going to feel a stretch along that inner thigh of your right leg. If you want this to be a little bit more restorative, you can always put some type of prop, maybe some blocks or a bolster underneath the right leg to help prop it up. Or you can still use your straps, hold your strap with your arms. So again, if you want to give your hands a break, that's where you would use those props, but we're not going to stay here too long. Keep breathing. Doesn't have to open up a lot. In fact, you're just getting some stretch along that whole inner thigh. And perhaps the gravity of Earth pull it open some. And when you're ready, engage your core a little bit, help pull that right leg up towards center. And then this time, we're going to bring your straps over to your left hand. And then we're going to allow your entire right leg to go over the extended left leg. So you don't have to worry about holding the right hips down. This time, we're deliberately allowing the right outer thigh stretch. So this time, as it extends over, you're feeling the stretch along that whole outer side. Oops, close. And you're even getting a little bit of spinal twist, but go to your own range of motion. And again, you have the same option if you want. If you have any type of props on the left side, you're more than welcome to place it there. Slowly, you're going to bring the right leg back up to center. Make sure both hips are connected. All right, You may want to bend your left knee so that the left foot's back onto the mat. This time, you're going to still keep the straps in your left hand. Place your right hand on your right hip. We're going to do that IT stretch. So allow your right leg to cross over the center line. Keep the right hip on the ground. And because you already stretched the outer side, you might have gone a little bit further. You might be able to have a little bit more accessibility to go over across the center line. Don't go too far, but you might be feeling a little bit more strict your IT band. It goes to show how a lot of these are so interconnected. Come back to center. Let's bring our left foot up. Keep it, place the, sorry, I just remembered something. So keep your right foot back in there, put your left foot back down. Now move the strap to the balls of your right foot. So beforehand we were on the arch, balls on the balls of your right foot. And when you're pulling on it, do you feel a little different? You're feeling a little bit of stretch, like beforehand was more on the hamstring. Now again, we're getting the calf. So you may want to find out how far you can bring your right leg toward your body. So just a little bit more of stretch. We did work already some calf stretches, but since we're at the end, you might notice like, oh, wow, I'm a little bit closer. Keep breathing. Looking really good. And let's release and let's now change out. So left foot in where your right was at. Keep it on the arch of your left foot. You can have your right foot onto the mat with your knees bent. All right, same thing. Left leg straight. Check where your knee's at. Don't want to hyperextend or lock it, but you do want it relatively straight. And as you allow it to stretch, perhaps your left leg can come closer and closer to your body. Keep those angel wings tucked underneath. Keep the shoulder blades away from your ears. And you know where to stop at. This is where you feel everything's shaking within. That's like, okay, I got to stop, keep breathing to it. Perhaps it opens up, perhaps it's saying, no, let's back up a little more. That's the beauty of yoga. Connection between your body, mind through your breath. Now we're going to work the inner thigh. So both straps over toward your left hand. Right hand is holding your right hips down, and then open up your left leg toward the left side. Oops, against the wall. So you do have the option to make this a little bit more restorative if you prefer. And bring it back to center. Pass the straps over to your right hand. You're going to allow your entire left leg to go over. Oops, I'm sorry. You need to straighten your right leg. And then allow the left leg go all the way across the body. So when I say it goes across the body, it doesn't mean it has to touch the floor at all. In fact, be very mindful of where your body wants to go. Again, the strap is there to help you make sure you don't go too deep. You can also use other props like, bolster, cushions, blankets, or whatever, so that your left foot might be resting, or maybe even your thighs might be resting on something. One more breath here, and then you come back to center. All the way up. You can check your IT band so you can bend your right knee, have your right foot onto the ground, and then keep your left hand on your left hip and then let it cross over. You're gonna notice how it crosses. Like last week when I think we did our IT stretches, like my left leg would barely cross over the center line because you were able to stretch part of your IT band plus your entire outer hip, leg, thighs, then that makes it a lot more open. So this is wonderful. Back to center. All right, let's move the strap to the balls of your left foot. And then as you check to see where your leg is relative to heaven or your ceiling, you can feel a little bit more of a stretch there. All right. You can bring your right foot up, bend your right knee, both knees toward your body. You can remove the strap, going to happy baby. Good excuse to see what you've been tested on if you're in happy baby, or you can use the strap to go around your feet. You can maybe put your thumbs right into that acupressure point between where your big toe and your second toe would be. And as it's, you can actually draw little circles there. So as you do that, you may press your lower back into the ground and rock a little bit side to side. And then we're going to get ready into our final resting pose, Shavasana. So you can extend your right heel to the right corner of your mat, your left heel to the left corner of your mat. Lift your chest up off the ground, tuck your angel wings underneath, and then lower back down, and then have your hands down by your side. Palms facing up toward heaven. Close your eyes. Receive what God has promised. And then as you lay here, just breathing, feel how your body feels tonight. Even though we didn't move a lot, so even though we didn't do a whole flow or anything like that, it might feel nice and relaxed and open and loose. And hopefully you feel this nice warm sensation like the circulation's going. And you relax even further. Bring some awareness back into your body. You may want to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Rotate your ankles, your wrists. And I'd like for you to stretch your toes wide from each other and even stretch your fingers wide. So stretch your hands, stretch your toes, and then relax. Let's do it again. Stretch, 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 and relax. Now inhale your arms over your head, stretch yourself real far away. Bring your feet toward each other. Stretch it away from your body. And then as you exhale, relax. Bend your knees. Roll over to the right side of your body. Keep your eyes closed. Placing your head on top of your hands so that your cervical spine's in alignment. Pressing yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Hands resting gently on top of your thighs, palms facing up toward heaven. If you like to seal in your practice, you could have your thumb and your index finger touching each other gently to make that circle, the eternal circle, the promise, the Alpha and the Omega. Let's inhale through our nose, completely here. And exhale, open mouth, breath. Deep inhale here. Complete exhale again. Last time. Full inhale. Deep exhale. Lifting your hands together, palm touching palm, thumb resting right above your heart. Tucking your chin down toward your heart. Dear Father God, thank you for being with us, allowing us to stretch our hands as your Son has stretched his arms out wide for us, that we can help care for others, but also provide self-care. In your Son, Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you for coming. Namaste.